Greetings and welcome to In-Depth. I'm Dike Rostant. Now, we just had the opening of this year's cruise ship season, and we're looking forward to further updates from the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and the Arts with Senior Corporate Communications Officer Shimiere Douglas.
Well, thank you very much for having me. First, Dike, the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and the Arts is very much active in overseeing the opening of the event sector and the tourism sector here in Trinidad and Tobago. We've been ensuring that there will be a successful and profitable reopening to the sectors by building the capacity of our stakeholders and making investments in the infrastructure and even in particular events and initiatives that were conceived by citizens and organizations here locally.
How do you decide what investments you're going to make in terms of saying, okay, well, these are some of those infrastructural pillars that we want to help bolster, we want to help grow a bit?
Okay, well, the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and the Arts is, at the core, what we're focusing on is enhancing the lives of the people of Trinidad and Tobago through economic, environmental, socio-cultural, and recreational development. We are guided by the Vision 2030 National Development Plan. We are guided by our need to meet our sustainable development goals in 2030. And we are also guided by the National Cultural Policy of Trinidad and Tobago, as well as the National Tourism Policy here in Trinidad and Tobago, which are geared towards leveraging our cultural and natural heritage, towards transforming Trinidad and Tobago into a premier tourist destination, as well as to create a more productive cultural and creative industry here, right? Because we know that in Trinidad and Tobago, we're dependent on oil and gas, and we are also in the process of diversifying our economy. The government sees the people of Trinidad and Tobago and the culture of Trinidad and Tobago as our greatest assets. So we're investing in that. We're investing in projects that treat with building cultural confidence in our country. We're investing in projects that bring the community together. We're investing in projects that help our artists here, our artisans, our tourism service providers to become globally competitive, right? And we are very, very, very pleased with the accomplishments of our stakeholders and the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago who are engaged in this process.
I mean, speaking, and I'm hearing the passion in your voice, Ms. Douglas. And one of the things that I'm looking at, though, is in terms of building that cultural confidence, in terms of building the capacity for industry, service, tourism, are there things that you're looking at a little differently now? Because sometimes people would think, okay, well, it's just sun, sea, sand, versus a move towards something like wellness or bringing things up the value chain. So it's not just, okay, well, I have a memory, I have a picture. What else? What else is being done?
Well, it's very interesting that you mentioned wellness, Dike. This month is actually Caribbean Tourism Month, and the theme is wellness. And of course, this is strategically important because we're coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic and health is at the forefront of our minds. 2 days ago, yesterday, we had the reopening of the cruise season. And you would hear my minister, Senator, the Honorable Randall Mitchell, speaking to the passengers, speaking to our stakeholders and our cruise partners. And he emphasized that safety, people's safety was paramount, right, in the ministry's plan, in the ministry's rollout of the reopening of the event sector as well as the cruise season, right? This morning, the ministry launched its community-based tourism enterprise workshop in Bonnier West Community Center. We had participants from the Lopino community. You know, Lopino is rich with cocoa. There's like a rich history there. It's also primed, and we are definitely supporting this idea of ecotourism and helping residents in that area to start enterprises, right? Using the resources in their area. And of course, they're so hospitable, and we know that the tourism product there in Lopino and the other communities that we plan to go to in the coming year, there's a rich tourism product there, and visitors are definitely going to appreciate this. We have a product, and it's not only for tourists and visitors from outside Trinidad and Tobago. Community-based tourism is also targeting members and citizens and people of Trinidad and Tobago to go into these communities and really indulge and immerse themselves in the culture there, as well as help the economic development of those spaces.
Now, you gave us plenty of things to talk about there. I wonder, in the 2 minutes we have before the break, you just spoke about the opening of the cruise ship season, and I want to ask the question before we go to break: how does the ministry help to facilitate some of those partnerships, make some of those investments, so that we have these cruises coming in, so that we have these people who are going to be exposed to Trinidad and Tobago culture?
Right. So the cruise season is just opening after 2 years, right? It's been a 2-year hiatus since COVID began to impact us in 2020. During that period of closure, the ministry was engaged in strengthening partnerships with international cruise lines, and we've forged really strong partnerships with the Royal Caribbean Group, international cruise lines. You would have heard months ago, we signed a memorandum of understanding with them, and thousands of Trinidadians and Tobagonians had the opportunity to apply to enter the cruise industry. They had the opportunity to earn US dollars, right? Over 800 have already received engagement from the Royal Caribbean Group. So we're very thankful to see the fruits of that kind of partnership. Through our agency, Tourism Trinidad Limited, we were able to court cruise lines to come back to Trinidad and Tobago. So yesterday, Royal Caribbean returned to Trinidad shores after a 10-year hiatus, and it's been exceptional. We had thousands of people, visitors and passengers and crew members on our shores just in 3 days, right? So we could just, you can only imagine the kind of economic contribution the cruise industry is making just in 3 days with thousands of passengers, and we have months to go until April at the end of the cruise season.
And once again, speaking about that enthusiasm that I'm hearing just gushing from you all over the place, we take a short break. We return, we're actually speaking about a raft of things with Senior Corporate Communications Officer Shimiere Douglas. Stay with us. We return with more. Welcome back. We are going in depth on work that the ministry is doing. This is the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and the Arts. We're doing so with Senior Corporate Communications Officer Shimiere Douglas. And Shimiere, there's something that is said on the other side of the conversation in terms of the launch of the Community-Based Tourism Enterprise Workshop. Give me a little idea of what that is supposed to do. I know you said it launched in Lopino, but what will that do generally?
Okay, so at the community-based tourism workshop is part of the Compete Caribbean Partnership Facility, and it's in collaboration with the Caribbean Tourism Organization as part of their innovation for tourism and diversification project for the region, of course. And they have developed a community tourism toolkit, right? And the overall objective of the project is to enable more micro, small, and medium enterprises to generate increased revenue, right, from tourism. The MTAs, which is the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and the Arts, our overarching objective in executing this event would be to build national awareness about community-based tourism, as well as to convince and encourage and inspire the residents of these communities to see how they can participate in tourism to enhance their own lives. So we are investing in them, but we're also empowering them so that they can transform their own socioeconomic standings and circumstances, right? We believe in the agency of the citizen, and the community-based tourism objective and initiative helps that. We help, we invest, we strengthen, we support the citizen to use the resources, of course, responsibly, with sustainability in mind, and we're helping them to create a resilient economic standing for themselves. And in improving their own lives, it helps the entire national economy, the whole ecosystem, right? So we're starting on the individual level, we're building the individual to build the community, to build the nation. And that is
in terms of that building of the nation, building of the communities, one of the things that I can see happening is that people say, hey, something is happening here. Let me visit them this weekend. Let me go with my family because I'm looking for something to do. So there's this kind of spillover effect. So we begin to learn about ourselves a little more. And that actually kind of goes back to that cultural confidence or cultural just being able to be confident within yourself. This is who we are as a people. Is that one of the reasons that I see you all have some shows that you're allowing people to see free and say, well, come and see yourself on stage? Is that one of the reasons?
Listen, you understand. That is exactly the plan. This year, Trinidad and Tobago also celebrated our 60th anniversary of independence. Independence, yes, it's a time for celebration, but it is the moment that Trinbagonians have an opportunity. It is a journey, an opportunity for us to define ourselves on our own terms. So we look at all the excellence in other countries, in other parts of the world. During our anniversary celebrations this year, Senator the Honorable Randall Mitchell made it possible for citizens from all across the nation to visit our performing arts sites, which would be the Naparima Bowl, Queen's Hall, our National Academy for the Performing Arts, which is NAPA, and our Southern Academy for the Performing Arts. They got to see shows, productions written by Trinidadian playwrights, performed by our national performing arts entities, the National Theatre Arts Company, the National Philharmonic Orchestra, and the National Steel Symphony Orchestra. And we have been rolling out shows. We're either making them free or we're making them subsidized. So you're getting a quality show. I mean, Broadway quality for either free or subsidized. As you mentioned that, on Tuesday and Wednesday next week, which is Tuesday, 29th November, and Wednesday, 30th of November, 2022, at the NAPA, National Academy for the Performing Arts. Our National Theatre Arts Company is doing a full-scale production of William Shakespeare's The Tempest. You're gonna see authentic Shakespeare, and then you're gonna see this cultural twist, right? Because the culture here in Trinidad and Tobago, you know, we've been impacted by everywhere in the world. And then when it gets here, we do something to it. So the tickets are only $60. You can get tickets at the Napa box office. Showtime starts at 8. There's no Trini time at the theater. It starts on time. And we're hoping that most of our citizens will have an opportunity to see our artistic excellence on the big stage, Tuesday and Wednesday at the Napa. So yes, we have this. We also have free shows for the secondary schools, 10 a.m. in the morning on those same days. Last week, 2 weeks ago, we had it at the Sapa. We had schools come out, even amidst the floods. They came and they were, the children were impressed. They were inspired. They just did not know how excellent, you know, Trinidadians can be. It was world class. The performance was world class. So yes, the ministry has been sponsoring and subsidizing tickets for citizens to enjoy our local performers. We are developing the local audience to consume the performing arts. Our creative industry is going to succeed. It is going to succeed, and we are ensuring that our artists have an audience. Yeah.
Ms. Douglas, I feel like you drink the Kool-Aid, you know, whatever you're doing, it's working. But in terms of we have just over a minute to go. Carnival is around the corner. What are some of those investments, the capacity building that the ministry is doing there?
Now the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and the Arts does not wake up in the morning and roll out something. We've been planning for Carnival 2022 since it ended in 2020. Earlier this year, we had a taste of Carnival. We started stimulating activity in the creative and event sector. That paved the way for the launch of Carnival 2023, which we had last weekend. We also had the launch of Panorama 2023. Carnival bands are almost fully booked. Our hotels are almost fully booked already. Carnival 2023 promises to be the mother of all carnivals. That's how it's branded, the mother of all carnivals. And I'm in the ministry, and I can tell you it is going to be the mother of all carnivals. Trinidad and Tobago stands to benefit tremendously from the reopening and the relaunch of Carnival in Trinidad and Tobago.
And the way that you're saying is really, really looking forward to it. And we want to thank you for the time that you've shared with us and looking at things to come from the ministry and for us to be our better selves or best selves, all hands on deck. Shimiere Douglas, a Senior Corporate Communications Officer, as well as everyone who would have tuned in on behalf of the TTG News team. I'm Dike Rostant. This has been In Depth with me. Thank you so much for joining us.